So once we've generated awareness, we now need to transform that awareness into engagement. Remember, generating a glance is not enough. We need to turn that glance into a stare. So we've got some awareness. We bought some advertising. Maybe we're leveraging Google. Maybe we're leveraging Facebook, Instagram. Maybe we're doing a little bit of YouTube. Now we've got to say, we got the awareness. How do we get them to engage? And the question that we're going to ask at this stage is, what content can we leverage to turn a glance into a stare? What content can we leverage to turn a glance into a stare? So what are we talking about? We are talking about content marketing. Okay, content marketing. Content marketing is a phrase, it's a concept that you have probably heard. We have a module that is dedicated just to content marketing in this certification. We have an advanced entire certification on content marketing. It is a really, really, really big subject. But what I want you to know at the end of the day is it's really nothing new. This idea of content marketing has been around for a very, very long time. In fact, if you've heard of this idea of a Michelin star restaurant, so if you're a foodie, you definitely have heard of a Michelin star, right? So if you're a restaurant and you get a single Michelin star, that's a big deal. If you're a 2 Michelin star restaurant, you are top notch. And there are just a handful of restaurants in the world that have received 3 Michelin star status. Okay, 3 Michelin star restaurant. Now, what's funny is this concept of a Michelin star, what people don't realize is that the Michelin star actually was created by Michelin, the tire company. So Michelin, which sells tires, put out this book of the best restaurants all over the States and then ultimately all over the world. Now, why would a tire company put out a restaurant guide? It's simple. They wanted you to get in your car and drive really far away to go to some amazing restaurant that you would ordinarily never go to, because then you're burning up more tires, so you're buying more tires from them. It was content marketing that's decades, nearly a century old. Been around forever and it still lives with us today. So this idea of leveraging content in the form of entertainment, content in the form of information, but leveraging content to build awareness and engagement around a particular brand has been with us for a long time, and it's digital that's allowing us to do it at scale. So when we think about content and leveraging content, we're normally thinking about blog posts, we're thinking about videos on YouTube, videos on social, posting up pictures, infographics, things like that, but some just kind of broader categories really are the how-to or the ultimate guide. Right, so this is the blog post that's going to give you the step-by-step on how to do something, or the expanded blog post, or the accompanying video that's going to be the ultimate guide to whatever somebody wants to do. Trying to create that real solid pillar piece of content that everybody's going to link to, that's going to rank well in Google. That's one type of proven content idea. Another one is just simply a list, a resource list. One of our best performing blog posts for years at Digital Marketer was simply a post where we listed the tools that we use in our studio. The very studio that I'm filming in right now, we simply listed, here are the lights that we use, this is the camera that we use, and we just listed them. Incredibly popular. People love lists. They're a great shortcut. Another one, case study. Okay, a case study. Sharing how one company or one person executed a strategy and the results that they got. Why do we love case studies? Because it's good proof. It can be inspiring. It's like, oh, well, if that person was able to do it, then maybe I can too. So case studies are another proven type of content. This is a biggie. Templates, examples, swipe files. We have blog posts that literally are just a bunch of examples. Here's a whole bunch of email newsletters that you should follow. Here's a bunch of really great home pages that you can model, right? People love templates. They love examples. They love a swipe file. If you don't know what it is simply, pulling a bunch of inspiring ideas. It's kind of like a marketer's scrapbook, so to speak, right? So templates and examples. And then finally, just Q&A. There's something very magical and very powerful about putting out content that simply answers questions. Okay, putting out content that simply answers the questions that people have. That content could be in the form of a blog post or a video, but we're going to come back to Q&A because it's probably where you should start. Now, when we think about content, the types of content that we're producing, I don't want you to think content in terms of text or video or audio. All of that is content. All of that can engage. If you're wondering, okay, which one should I do? Do whatever one you're comfortable doing. Many people are very comfortable on video. Many people are not. Some people love to write. Some people hate to write. Some people love to produce audio content. the exact format of your content, whether it's text or whether it's video or whether it's audio, that's actually not as important. Ultimately, you're going to want to do a lot of it, try a little bit of everything, because different formats are going to appeal to different groups. But where you need to start is just whatever content you're comfortable doing, or your company, your brand is comfortable doing. Start there. Do whatever it is that you'll do. Now, when it comes to producing the content, just remember, the content needs to be about the customer, not the product. Customer, not product. When I see brands fail at content marketing, it's because they produce this blog post that basically just talks about how great their product is, or it's a how-to video that just is how to use their particular product. Now that's fine in some instances. It could be great to have that for customers, but if I don't already know about your product, if I'm not already interested in it, then I'm not interested in watching a video about it. I've got my own problems. I need you to meet me where I am. And eventually you can connect the dots about how, my particular problems could be solved by your product. But in the beginning, make the content about the customer, not the product. Let me show you an example here. So this is Snack Nation. A couple friends of mine own this company, very successful company. And what they do is they offer a done-for-you snack delivery services to companies. So if you've got a company and you have an office and instead of having to go to the grocery store and buy a bunch of snacks, they will deliver healthy snacks to you so that you don't have to worry about that at all. That is their value proposition. Now, who's the buyer? Who makes the decision about the snack buying purchases? Well, more times than not, it's going to be somebody in HR, it's going to be an office manager, something like that. So their content is not 21 snacks that are delicious and nutritious. No, their content are things like 39 insanely fun team building activities for work, trust falls not included. Now, who's going to be interested in team building activities? HR managers, office managers, right? This article has nothing to do with snacks. It doesn't mention anything about snacks. What it does, it provides great content for the customer. Now, if I am an HR rep, if I am an office manager and I read this and I get value from it, I'm going to wonder, who are these Snack Nation people? And then if I just happen to have a need, you better believe I'm going to follow them. All right? I'm going to follow up and check out and see what they have to offer. So remember, with your content, make it about the customer, not about your product. Another example of that, TrueDog. TrueDog, again, another company that's owned by a friend of mine. They sell very, very, very high-end, like really expensive, but very, very healthy dog food. All right? So it's natural, it's organic, it's raw, like it's kind of exactly what you, if you were a dog, would want to eat. That's what they're selling. But again, here's a blog post here, a piece of content. It's not about how to pick the perfect dog food for your pooch, right? That's obvious, but it's not going to engage. Because as a dog owner, I don't wake up in the morning thinking, how can I pick the perfect dog food? No, what I wake up in the morning thinking is, how do I get rid of my dog's funky doggy breath? So try these DIY home remedies to fight bad doggy breath. It is a blog post about doggy breath. Now in there, they kind of casually mention, hey, if your dog has really bad breath, it may be their food, you might want to check our stuff. It's subtle, but the idea is the content stands alone as valuable, and it's targeted at the customer, not targeted towards the product. Now you may be thinking, yeah, but my product, it's really boring. Okay, it's very, very boring. It's not sexy. It's not like dog food, which is apparently just like really, really cool. I sell something boring. That, what do I do? I would simply say, is what you sell, is it more boring than razor blades? Now, if you haven't seen the Dollar Shave Club ad, I would pause this video, I'd go to YouTube and I would Google Dollar Shave Club. Because it's a very funny, very entertaining piece of content that is designed to sell razor blades. One of the most commoditized objects on planet Earth. Now, if you haven't heard the story of Dollar Shave Club, some years after that video went out and became this viral sensation, they got bought by Unilever for $1 billion. Okay, so they leveraged content in the form of entertainment. Remember, content is of two types: information and entertainment. They leveraged content in the form of entertainment to make a boring product really fun and interesting, and built a very, very successful $1 billion brand out of it in the process, okay? So don't think that, just because my product or service is boring, that my content has to be boring too. It doesn't. And if you're just looking for ideas like, how do I make something that would be boring interesting, I will simply say, just don't take yourself too seriously. This is another company, Morris Jenkins. They're an air conditioning and heating company out of Charlotte, North Carolina. okay? Air conditioning and heating. There are not a lot of things more boring than we will fix your air conditioner, all right? And yet they have some of the most entertaining and interesting content anywhere. They will have videos of their workers, dancing with air filters. They will read mean tweets like some of the late night hosts do. And they'll just produce really fun, funny, and interesting videos like this one. Check this out. We'll talk about it on the other side. All right, I think you get the idea. Now that's content. How hard is that to do? Now, I mean, you have to be willing to have some people, on your team to maybe act a little bit goofy and look silly in front of a camera. Lots of people today are willing to do that. But what do? They're being entertaining by just dancing around to a popular song, all right? Don't overthink content marketing. Remember, content is of two forms: information and entertainment. And never forget that we pay our entertainers far more than we pay our informers. All right? Our athletes, our singers, our musicians, our superstars, they get paid way more than teachers. Now, that's probably not fair. I come from a family of teachers. I consider myself more of a teacher than an entertainer. But that's the way that it is. So when it comes to content, remember the goal is engagement. How do we turn a glance into a stare? I'm not suggesting that you start, eating Tide Pods and worms and making out with total strangers like they do on reality TV. You don't have to go there. But you do have to be just a bit more interesting than the competition, which thankfully, in most industries, is not that hard. The bar has been set so excruciatingly low that from an entertainment perspective, you can top it. And from an information perspective, you can top that too. Now, if you need more engaging content ideas, if you're looking for a place to start, here's where I want you to start. Just answer questions. If you want to kickstart your content marketing endeavors, all right, if you want to kickstart this particular stage, here's what I want you to do. And again, I'll say we've got an entire module later on in this course that'll go in much greater depth. But if you want to kickstart it, here's what I want you to do. 10. I want you to figure out the 10 most frequently asked questions that your customer is asking right now. All right, your ideal prospect, your customer, what are they asking? What are those 10 questions? And then I want you to produce content where you answer those questions. What are the 10 questions? Produce content to answer those questions. You could answer it in the form of video, post it in social, post it on YouTube. You could then convert that video into a blog post. It could just be a blog post. It really doesn't matter. If you will just answer 10 questions, then you will be far more interesting than your competitors were. And I'll tell you, at Digital Marketer, I got to confess, we messed this up. This brand was built on the back of answering questions. Years ago, one of our most popular posts, one of the most popular things that we did, people asked, what color should my add to cart button be? So if I've got a buy button, if I have an add to cart button on my website, what color should it be? And years ago when that question was asked, produced a very simple video where I said, orange. That was it. That was the extent of my answer. You want to know what color your buy button should be? It should be orange. And I said, okay, let's talk about why. Orange, it's a bright color. It generally contrasts, and that's kind of what we want. A lot of times people hide their buy buttons, generally contrasts. And also, look, Amazon, theirs is orange, and I'm sure they did a lot of testing. So just make it orange. And people said, thank you. And they were thrilled. They asked a question, I gave them an answer. And then something happened. And I'll tell you this story because I don't want it to happen to you. Then we got smart. And then what we realized is that, sometimes orange isn't the one that converts the best. Gosh, we've run a lot of split tests, and sometimes it's green, sometimes it's blue, and really it depends on what are the other colors on the page. It just needs to be high contrast. And sometimes color doesn't matter at all, right? And really, to truly, you have to understand color theory, right? And we began giving these complicated, long-winded answers when at the end of the day, people just want to hear orange. And they stopped engaging with us because we stopped speaking to them at their level. Your customers right now are asking a lot of stupid questions, and I'm throwing up the air quotes. There are questions that you think are stupid. There are questions that your customer care team is sick and tired of answering. There are questions that are being asked that if you would simply answer, they would be engaging. Don't think that just because it's a simple question with a simple answer, that it's not going to be incredibly engaging. Because so often the customers that most need you, they're the ones that are asking the simplest questions. So 10. I want you to come up with 10. If you need some ideas, if you can't come up with 10 questions, a really great site, answerthepublic.com. Answer the Public is a totally free site. You go there, if you type in a keyword, it'll give you, this wheel. Like for example, if I were to type in chiropractor, it would give me all the questions that people are asking in and around chiropractic. Okay, so this can be a good place to kind of go and start to begin your search. Again, you're just looking for 10. Now, by the way, I don't suggest you stop at 10. A really good ongoing content strategy is to answer 2 to 5 questions every single week. That's a good way to produce regular content. But Answer the Public, good place to start. My favorite though is Quora. So Quora, Quora, Quora.com. Again, a free service that you can go to. You can do a search. And not only will Quora tell you the questions that people are asking, it'll also give you the answers. All right? Really, 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 just a really good place to go to source ideas. Now, I want to kind of tell you another quick story, give you a little case study, something that I experienced where I asked Google a question, got an answer, was engaged with by a brand, and then went and gave them money. So a couple years back, my brother-in-law was getting married. We were throwing, he and his then fiance, now wife, an engagement party. And then about 20 people were going to come. And I had a simple question. How much wine should I buy if 20 people are coming? So I Google searched wine for 20 guests. I went into Google and I asked Google a question. Now, if you throw a lot of parties, if you're a grocer or if you're in the, kind of wine and, beverage business, you probably know the answer to this. How much wine should you have for 20 guests? You probably know the answer. I didn't. It was a dumb question, right? But I desperately wanted to know the answer. So I did a search. And then there was a link about third down, party planning, how to plan a party. Want to make sure that you've got, all the right stuff. So I clicked on it and it pulled up a drink calculator. This is important because this is not content in the form of a blog post or video. This is content in the form of a very simple calculator. And the way that it worked is I typed in how many guests, I typed in how long it would be there, and it kicked out and it told me the exact number of bottles of wine that I needed to buy. And when I looked up at the top, I saw, it just so happens that it's a store right next to me that did this. I printed out the list, I drove to the store, and I bought the wine from them. I had a question, I did a search, this content turned my glance into a stare. I then became a customer, and I've probably, bought a few $1,000s over the last couple of years. I've probably bought thousands of dollars worth of wine from this particular store. Why? Because they answered a question that I had. All right. Do not underestimate the benefit of answering questions. But above all else, remember, your job at this stage is to turn glances into stares. So think about how are you going to leverage content to turn that awareness into engagement. Once you got an idea around that, once you've written that into the particular box, then we can move on to the next stage.